Oh, hello. I am excited today about this topic because I did a live last week and I went over the framework of a successful mindset. And I went over this littlest bit about decision fatigue, and I had a really good response to it. Because it's funny because I wasn't even talking about like decision fatigue officially, but people started asking me questions in the DMs about decision fatigue. So I figured I would do an entire training on decision fatigue. So I got my board out, which I'm pretty sure is backwards when I write it to you guys. I don't know how it's going to work yet, but we're going to figure this out. But today we're going to talk about decision fatigue. I'm going to wait for a few people to join really quick as I get everything going. If you want to let me know where you're chiming in from, I'd love to hear where you're watching, where you're from, what's your city like. We're in Cleveland. It's dead fall. The leaves are beautiful. It's about 63 degrees here today. I'm pretty pumped about it. So again, today we're going to talk about decision fatigue. For some of you who don't know what decision fatigue is, it is when our brains are in overload. We cognitively don't make good quality decisions anymore. It's called decision fatigue. And I'm going to show you a really great way that was shown to me by a business mentor of how to get through decision fatigue. But we're going to touch on some things. So studies show on an average every single day, we make about 35,000 conscious decisions. So have you ever wondered why thinking about making dinner is like overbearing to you? Like, I just can't think about another thing. That's because your brain has made almost 35,000 decisions. I challenge you to even pay attention or even try to count how many decisions you make every day. That's a huge challenge because right now I'm making decisions as I'm doing this live. Can we even count that high? Can we even process that many choices? Probably not, honestly. So I'll challenge you with that. Here's a little homework. Try to count how many decisions you make on a daily basis. It's impossible. So again, that's your conscious brain. Your subconscious brain does all its own things. We're not even going to get into that because that's even so big you can't even process it. So decision fatigue is when, when like at the beginning of the day, your decisions are like great. You can fire off choices. You can make them. It's great. But then as the end of the day goes, that's because at the end of the day, you've made so many, your brain goes into cognitive overload where the quality of your choices are no longer going to be as good as the quality of your choices in the morning. That is why they say if you were to get in trouble or go to court or anything like that, judges are the most clear in the morning because they made less choices than in the afternoon. So I know if you're anything like me, you kind of go through the day where you're making so many choices, you either avoid making the choice at all or you become impulsive. Just give me that one. Just do that one. So that's what happens to me. I just become impulsive. It becomes like a lottery draw where I just make a choice that probably isn't in my best interest because I can't even process another choice. So the way you're going to get through these, and I have a whole foolproof system that is going to make your life so much easier. But there's a couple things along the way. So there's I'm making sure I don't get off track. So for example, you have to delegate, right? So like we're moms. If you're anything like me, you try to do all of the things because you want it done your way. You have to delegate the unimportant decisions that aren't going to affect your life. You need to delegate them. If you're someone who financially can do that, pay certain people to do certain things. Clear your brain so you can make good decisions for your business or for your future or for your life. That's number one. But second and foremost, the biggest thing that I do that was showed to me by a business mentor is you write down, make a list of your morals and values, right? Hear me out. And the reason you're going to do this, so your morals and values could be your faith is very important to you, your family is very important to you, your time is very important to you. I'm going to write these down and I'm going to tell you why in just a second. So my family is a big value to me. My faith is a big value to me. My time. And don't do too many. Just do a list of things that are very important to you because you're going to run things through this list. These are very important to me. So if it doesn't align with my family, I'm not going to do it. If it doesn't align with my faith, I'm not going to do it. If it doesn't align with my time, I'm not going to do it. So you have to make a list. So like, for example, if you're someone who's been thinking of doing an online business, but you can't even process how to do it because you're making 35,000 decisions a day that your brain is not even capable of making another choice, then you are someone who's going to want to do this list. So when you write down your morals and values, what's valuable to me? Does your house really important to you? Is getting somewhere and a time frame it's really important to you? Is being around for your mom because your mom is sick very important to you? Get specific in this list. Write them down, and then every time you go to make a decision, you want to put that decision, you're going to make this list again because you're going to remember your list of values. You're going to write the question of your decision, and then you're going to go, does this choice align with my family? Because that's my value. Does this choice align with my faith? Do I believe in it? Does it go against my faith? So I'm a very Christ follower, right? If I make a choice that I think is going to jeopardize my faith or that I think doesn't align with the way God has made me, I'm not going to do it. Does it align with my time? Am I trying to take on something I don't have the time for? So these are the things you're going to run your values, because your list is going to look different than mine, is what you're going to run that decision through. When you do this for important things, it'll be a lot easier to make choices because, like I told you, your conscious brain makes over 35,000 choices a day. So when you're making those kind of decisions, it is very hard when an important one comes into your lap for your brain to disassociate what it's already been doing all day long because it's cognitively overloaded. So you have to be able to tell the difference. And when you can't, going back to this list, you got to make it like a system. So I operate best with systems. So that is why I have a system for how my kids do what they do when they get out of school. They come in the house, they put their book bag in a certain place, they take their lunchbox out, and they take their folder out. That is a system. So now I don't forget to go in their book bag. Now I don't forget to wash their lunchbox. And now I don't forget to read what is in their folder for the next day. That is my system. It's got to be that way for other things as well. Because if you're someone who's getting overwhelmed and cannot make choices, you have to have a system. So the system, by writing out your choice and running it past your values, will make it foolproof when making decisions. So like I said, if you're someone who's been thinking about making money online, who's thinking about doing an online business, and you just can't even fathom it or you can't make that choice, you have to write down your list of morals and values of who you are, what it means to you, and write the decision at the top. And does it go off that list? Does it align with your family? Does it align with your faith? Does it align with your time? Because time is just as valuable as money. That is why we say we spend time. We spend money because they're valuable. It's money. So if your decision doesn't align with something and time is on your list, how are you spending your time? Is that decision going to make you feel overwhelmed, take away your time from your children and your family? Then that's a decision you might not want to make. And you can't live in FOMO. When an opportunity falls in your lap, you cannot look at it like, it doesn't align with my faith or my family, but I have to take it because I don't know if an opportunity will ever fall in my lap like that again. That is FOMO. That is fake. That is not real. Whatever is for you is for you. Do not let the fear of missing out steal your presence and your joy. Because I'll tell you what, I have numerous times, and I have not ran through that opportunity through my values and my morals. I didn't run it through my list. And because I did not run it through my list of values and morals, I made poor decisions that took away my peace, that disrupted my peace, it disrupted my time, it disrupted my family. And because of that, I was really stressed out. So when you do your processes like this, you have a way better chance at making the right decisions. So for anyone who's joining, I'm going to recap what we've been talking about. We're talking about decision fatigue. If anyone's ever heard of decision fatigue, put a 1 in the chat box because I'd be really curious to know who knows what decision fatigue is. So if you do, put a 1 in the chat box. I'd love to know where you heard it from, how you know what it means, and what's your system to get through it. Because I have a system I've been following that I'm sharing today that makes making choices that much easier. So your brain makes over 35,000 conscious decisions a day. That does not include what your subconscious brain does. Because your subconscious brain goes on autopilot, we have no control over it. So it's draining your battery and you don't even know about it. It's like the app on the iPhone that you don't know is open and searching for your location and your battery's draining. That's what our subconscious brain does to us by accident. So when our conscious brain's making 35,000 decisions, imagine what our subconscious brain's doing in the back end. You can't even process it, right? So when you're making 35,000 conscious decisions daily, You have to have a system to be able to make those important decisions that fall into your lap later in the day, because when you're fresh in the morning, your decisions are your easiest decisions because your brain is not in cognitive overload yet. So as you go on the day and you make more choices, your brain, it drains more and more and more. That's why they always say to see a judge in the morning, because they're fresh and sharp. And if you see a judge at the end of the day, their decisions are not as sharp. So anyway, I run things through systems. That's how I work my business. That's how I work my household. That's how I run everything in my life, is through a system. Like I was giving the example earlier. My children even have a system. When they get out of school, they come in the house, they put their shoes in a certain place, they hang their book bag in a certain place, they take their lunch bag out of their book bag and their folder. Now, I'm not going to forget to go through their folder for the next day. I'm not going to forget empty their lunch bag and clean their lunch. I'm going to know I have all my stuff in a place. That's a system. Whether you think it is or not, that is a system. So when your brain is making these decisions and you have systems, you don't even have to think about it. So my biggest decision maker is when I have a decision come to me, I start with my list of morals and values. What are your values? What's important to you? My values are, I'm going to just name a few. Family. My values are faith. My values are time. My values are, there is money involved in that, because money provides my family with opportunities and tools to make better choices. It's not going to buy happiness, but it's going to be whatever. So when I go to make my decision, I'm going to write it down and I'm going to run it past. Does it align with my family? Does it align with my faith? Does it align with my time? Does it align with my income goals? Because when that decision aligns with all of them, then that's the right decision for you. But if that decision you're going to make does not align with your values, then that's not a decision for you. So you have to line it through these list of 4 or 5, whatever your values are. You have to align it with your list. And if it doesn't, and I've done this so many times where I take an opportunity because I think it's the last one that's ever going to be presented to me, but that's just the fear of missing out, and that's not real. Because anything that's for you will be for you. And if you run it through your list and it does not check off, then that opportunity is not for you. And the one that is for you will come to you. So if you're someone who's been thinking of starting an online business, but you just can't process it, you can't align it. So for me, online businesses, I knew I wanted an online income because I was on an extreme healing journey, still am, where there are days I don't feel well and I can't leave the house. And so I can't go work for someone. I couldn't even work my own brick and mortar business because I'd have to answer clients. I wouldn't want to, whatever. So I needed something that would be at home for me. But I kept trying all these places and all these courses and all these blueprints, and they weren't working for me. I went down the MLM journey, that wasn't working for me. But I did not have this process down. So I did not run all those other opportunities through my list to see if they were going to align with my life. So when you write down your morals and values of what's important to you, what your goals are, and you go to make that decision and you run it through, you'll know what's for you. And this could be something stupid. I'm serious. Like, for example, there'll be days where I'm like, I need to stop going and running errands after I pick my kids up from school. It's too much. I can't get to sports on time. I can't get dinner done. I get overwhelmed. It's something as simple as that because I have ADHD, right? But if I were to be like, okay, does it run through my family goal? My family goal, it's important for them to eat really healthy, nutritious meal. It's important for them to go to bed on time. No, it doesn't align with my family goal. Does it align with, I swear it's something that simple that you could run through your list of values. And if it doesn't align, don't do it. It's not the right choice. And it could be, is this person aligned with my goals? Does this business opportunity align with my values and goals? If it doesn't, it's not the right opportunity for you. So you want to keep going. You want to keep moving, keep looking for you. Okay. So anyway, you want to make sure you have systems in place that are foolproof so that when you come across decision fatigue, you are not draining your mental battery because you make 35,000 conscious decisions daily to where you just can't even think about another choice. So they always say to make your brightest choices in the morning. So for example, something as simple as making dinner to me is overwhelming. By the time dinner time comes at the end of the day, I am overwhelmed and I'm like, I just can't even think about this. So I've decided when I'm fresh and sharp on a Sunday, because I've already relaxed on Saturday, I make a menu. And that's what I'm going to follow. So now my menu has become my system. You see what I'm saying? So Systems are really, really powerful, but the problem is because a lot of us are so stuck in decision fatigue already, that we're so drained already, that we don't even know how to make a system. So that's where videos like this become really important, where I'm showing you the framework of how to make your system so that you don't have to overthink and get overwhelmed because you have a foolproof system to just fall on. You just go right to it. If you're joining in late and you have any questions and you're curious, you want me to go over the system again, make sure you comment below because I have no problem going over it. I don't want to keep repeating myself if I'm talking to the same people. So if you're just joining in and you want to learn more about decision fatigue and you want me to go through the system I just talked about, let me know. I will repeat it for you guys. But we're talking about decision fatigue, and we're talking about it because as every day, our brains make 35,000 conscious decisions daily. Not even talking about what our subconscious brain does. And because of that, throughout the day, we go through like a cognitive decline where choices become very overwhelming to us. So we have a hard time making decisions. So if you're that person who's like, you're going throughout the day and they're like, okay, purple or blue. And you're like, I don't know, blue. And you just pick it. It's because you're overwhelmed. Your brain is in cognitive overload and it can't make any more decisions because you've already tapped out on all the decisions you have got to make. So if that's like someone you are, where you just get so overwhelmed you can't even just think about making another choice, then you are someone who might want to make a process, which I've already, sorry, I'm writing this in really quick. You might be someone who wants to make the system process that I just told you guys a minute ago, which I have no problem going over again, which I'm going to write it down. So fatigue, okay? We all know we get 35,000 decisions a day. We make them daily, right? It's overwhelming, it's overbearing. We make 35,000 choices a day. It puts us into cognitive overload, and it's a lot. So for one really good strategy to begin with from day one is to delegate those things that are not as important to you. Have one of your older kids do the dishes. Who cares how they load the dishwasher? Have one of your older kids help your younger kid do X, Y, and Z. Delegate these choices that make your brain so overloaded that you can't make decisions. Because that's another thing. If you're someone, I tell this to my husband all the time. He wants to mow his own lawn, wants to do this. He runs 3 businesses. One is which is over $1 million in sales a year. He makes so many decisions. It's overwhelming. Then he wants to go home and mow his own lawn. Pay for someone to mow your lawn. It's another choice you have to make. Am I making the line straight? Am I going to weed whack? These are choices. We're not thinking about these decisions. Those little decisions about how you're going to mow your lawn, how you're going to garden are overwhelming. I understand if you're in a beginning phase of, you can't afford to do something like that. I get it. So then you make your own choices, but then you do it yourself. You figure it out. You can even do trades. I'm a huge fan of trading services for services. I do hair. So I would be like, I'll do your hair if you clean my house for me. I would do certain things that made my life easier so that my brain could have a break, so that I can make these important decisions that I need to make in business. Because if I don't change the way my brain works and I don't change the way my life is, how am I going to change the way my outcome is? How am I going to change my financial goal if I can't even change the way my house runs, right? So when I tell you guys things in business, which I am going over right now, business strategies of how to do it, they also work in your regular life. So delegate what you can, whether that's your mom. Your mother's like, can I help you with something, honey? Yes, mom, please do the dishes for me. It's one less decision. When that girlfriend's like, want me to pick you something up, but you're too modest to go, no, say, yes, can you please grab me that? It takes a village, y'all. It's okay to ask for help. So that's the first number one lesson is try to pull away from any decision you don't have to make, right? That's number one. But the process here with decision fatigue is you're going to go through how you're going to make a system in your house so it runs smoother. So my system with decision fatigue is you're going to write down all your morals and goals. So for me, family is a huge value to me. You're going to write your values down and your morals. Because when you write your values and your morals down, you'll be able to run your decision that you're having a hard time making through your list. So family is one of my values. Faith is one of my values. Time is one of my values. My income goal is one of my values. I know that's like money shouldn't be about you. It's not. It's just a goal of mine so that I can have opportunities so my house runs smoother. If you're broke, your decisions are going crazy because you're like, how am I going to get more money? How am I going to figure this out? It's another million decisions your brain is going through and cognitively overload and bogging your system down when making important decisions. So I'm just going to write down 4. I'm not really going to get into too much of my values because this video isn't about me. It's about helping you guys create a system to get out of decision fatigue. So you got decision fatigue because your brain makes 35,000 choices a day. So now you're overwhelmed. You're delegating things out because you realize that it's one less choice you have to make. Now you're going to write down your values and morals, okay? Very generic. Mine are going to be my family, my faith, my time, my income, okay? And my marriage. I'm going to put my marriage before that because even though it's family, we're going to separate it because marriage is important, right? So now someone brings an opportunity in business to me. Hey, I've got this really good public speaking. I would love for you to teach in California. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I would love to do that. Hang on. Does it meet my family needs? Well, no, I'm going to miss my daughter's recital. So, okay, that's one thing. Does it meet my faith needs? Well, it's going to pull me away from my studies. I'm not going to be able to make my Bible study. I'm not going to be able to go to church. No big deal. I could do that virtually. Okay, maybe it passes that one. How about my time? Well, it's going to take, a good 5 days out of my life. I already am very busy. I don't see my kids that much. So, doesn't really pass through my time value. How about my marriage? Well, we haven't spent a lot of time together and it's going to really overwhelm him. And it's going to have to take care of the kids in the household while I'm gone. How about my income? Well, it's a lot of money. But this is what people get mistaken. They think because it makes them a lot of money that it's going to help replace the time with their kids and their faith and their family. It's not. So to me, it doesn't align with all of them. It aligns with none of them. So the decision to go make a public speaking gig in California obviously isn't going to work for me because it doesn't align with all of my values. And here's the thing. Sometimes you can make a decision where one of your values are unaligned if you could figure out your way to compensate in another area, or if you could figure it out. Maybe the money's so overwhelming. Maybe the income is so overwhelming for your family that maybe you'll be able to make up for it later. But is it? This is a system that will make your choices so much easier. If you run your choices and opportunities through this foolproof system, you will no longer have decision fatigue because you will be like, all right, there's no second guessing yourself. Think about your list before you even go on it. Because when you take that decision to this list and you run it past your list, if it doesn't align, just don't do it. Make yourself have a rule. Be like, if it doesn't align with 3 out of the 4 values, I don't go. If it doesn't align with 4 of the 5 values, I don't go. That's how strict with the boundaries with yourself you have to make. Because if you don't, when does the wiggle room stop? It starts to pour into other areas. It starts to go, well, I told myself I didn't have to do this. That's where your decision-making muscle we talked about on Saturday is important. And as you break your choices with yourself, you lower your confidence, and then your decision-making muscle gets weaker because you've already allowed yourself to slip and not do X, Y, or Z when you needed to do X, Y, or Z. I always tell everybody on my lives, when I don't want to do something, I get up and I go do it right away because that's how I know I need to do it. And that's how I know it's going to get done. So this is a system I follow so strongly. I think it is so powerful. It's so simple. You almost don't think about how simple it is. It's just when you're making 35 decisions every day and decision fatigue is a real thing, running it through your morals and values before you make that choice is huge. It's huge. It's just like when I talked about before where you are thinking about an online business, but you don't know where to go, right? And you don't know how to do it. Well, I never wrote down my list of problems or goals like I told you guys before to do. So when I went to go make that choice to join all these online businesses beforehand, I joined a bunch that didn't align with what I needed. And because I did that, I didn't get really successful in those areas. But this business hit all of my things on my list because I did the list. I did the decision fatigue process. Hi to everyone joining. Hi, Debbie. Hi, Greg. Hi, Russell. If anyone has any questions about the process I did, please let me know because we're tailing towards the end of the live. I've already been on for like 25 minutes. I don't want to bore anybody. So if you just jumped on and you're like, wait, I'm really decision fatigued, tell me, please comment below. I will help you out. I will give you my system. It's so easy. It makes making a choice that much better, that much easier, that much stronger. And now I'm just kind of going over a couple of the other things we talked about in some of my other lives, but this one was particularly about decision fatigue and the system I use, which I know this is backwards because of the selfie thing, but the system I use to get through making choices easier so that I don't have to overload my brain even more when it comes to making a choice. So I run every decision through my list of values and morals in my life. And when I run my decisions through this list, I then can make a choice without having to think about it. I make things that are non-negotiables. So on my list of values, it's family, faith, time, marriage, income goals. When a decision or opportunity comes on my desk, and I'm like, okay, I use the example as public speaking. I was asked to talk in another state for a significant amount of money and teach a class on something similar. I would sit down and I would run it through my list of values and morals before I made that choice. And I'd say, okay, is it going to pull me in a negative way away from my family? If it was like, oh, it's just a weekend, cool, okay, it checks off my family, it won't hurt them. Is it going to pull me away from my faith? No, I'll bring my Bible, I'll read in the morning, I'll tap into my podcast. Okay. How about my time? It is going to take away my time, but not too much. Okay. How about my marriage? It will put a strain on my marriage because he's going to be overwhelmed trying to work and juggle the kids. All right, we can see about that. Is the income goal so big that it compensates me having to take away from my time? Is it not? So I have a rule, it's like 4 out of 5. I was doing 4, but I'm going to say 4 out of 5. I may make that choice. 5 out of 5, I'm definitely doing that opportunity, even if it scares me, because here's another thing. You run your opportunity through your list, but the opportunity is so big it scares you, so you're trying to talk yourself out of it. If it aligns with this list, I'm doing it. I don't care how nervous I am, I don't care how much anxiety I have. If it is something that it lines up with my list and gut values and it's gonna help push me further in my business, and it says I'm scared, I'm gonna go specifically because I'm scared, because the brave people aren't different from us, right? What makes someone brave or courageous isn't because they are not scared. It is because they do the things that scare them anyway. So even though you have this list, this foolproof list, your brain might still try to tell you, that's not a good idea. Well, why isn't it a good idea, brain? It goes through all my lists and it passes. It's a good idea. So for me, when I signed up for my online business, this latest one, not the ones before because it wasn't aligning, it checked all my boxes, and it checked all my boxes in my goal list, because I use this system I'm teaching you today in different forms in different areas. So I also have a goal and a problem list. And when I'm thinking of starting something new, I go, what are my problems? Does this solve them? And that's another process I do. I did a video on that last week, and I believe it's already on my YouTube. So if you're someone who's going through something, who's trying to make a big choice, like a business opportunity or an online business, and you just don't know if it's the right one for you, go watch that YouTube video, because it breaks down the framework of a success mindset, and it also tells you how you can get past making those choices. And I probably will do another live on it as well. Something I'm very strict on is my time. It's on my list. And I do a 2-hour workday. This latest online business I started that I'm obsessed with. It's working so well for me. It's going to be the one for me. I'm done. I've found so many successes in this business. It taught me the power of a 2-hour workday by creating income producing activities in a 30-minute segment equaling to 2 hours. Whoops. 2 hours, so that you can, it's 4 30-minute segments in a 2-hour process. Now, I'm sure you could break yours down less if you wanted to. Like, I do teach on this. But for me, it's very, very powerful, and I'm very strict on my time. So I'm 2 minutes away from the end of my live. So if anyone wants to jump in the chat box and let me know any takeaways you got, or if you guys have any questions, I'll be checking it. If I don't get to them, I will message you. I do think this is a very powerful system. And if you guys use this to make your choices, you will be way smoother along. You will feel so much better. You'll feel so much less overwhelmed, because it's so overwhelming when you're like, I've got to make dinner. I've got to pick the kids up. I got to make this second appointment. Did I do this? Did I do that? It's a million things all the time. And it's like, how do you go about doing all that without systems? You burn out. And that's why some people will look at me and be like, how do you do it? You do. Well, I have these systems. And I follow these systems to the T. And if I don't follow these systems, then I end up burning out, and then I end up not able to make these choices. So it becomes overwhelming. and it becomes hard to do. So I hope you guys have an awesome day. Love you all. I hope this can bring you value, help you along your journey, be less overwhelmed and more empowered. And I will catch you guys tomorrow on my next topic. Bye.